That's Utah,
Yep.
which is just barely above 500, barely positive point differential. I think considered themselves a legit contender before the season. Now, this is now 3 or 4 years in a row where they start slow and January, February come around and they take off like a rocket ship and all the problems that we thought existed go away. They obviously have a lot of new chemistry to sort out with Mike Conley, Joe Ingles coming off the bench, his favorite pick and roll partner, Derek Favors, being gone. They've had a couple of games recently where both Ingles and the team have looked more like themselves. I thought 25 games into the season, if they're given their record, they would be beating down people's doors looking for win-now trades. You haven't gotten that sense.
No, and I think for them, you look at the slow starts the last couple of years, consecutive years, 13-13. They're 15-11 this year, and they traditionally have a little tougher schedule early on. They have some, they have a period comes where they can get fat on some wins. Mike Conley is such a key to this. If you look at, he's been out with an injury here for about a week. There's some people who wonder, and he struggled early, and a lot of it, I think, and I talked to Mike about this when I saw him out there. Marc Gasol talked about this in Toronto, of just the new surroundings. And that took time for those guys. They were so mentally and emotionally tied to Memphis. It took time, and Utah expected that. They do not believe in Utah that Mike Conley has fallen off the cliff. They believe they're going to get the player that they traded for this summer. And I think once Conley is playing better, I think the whole thing runs a lot smoother. They're going to they've been a top 5 defensive team with Quinn Snyder. Now they have more offensive options than they've had. You've seen them in the playoffs where they just couldn't score enough. I still think this is a team that's going to keep its core together. And they have a lot of, some bench players they brought on this summer that, the Moutiers, the Jeff Greens, who they hope will play better.
I do think they're going to play better. I think they have exactly the two-way potential that you talked about. I am surprised to hear that they are not a little bit more worried and fretful because their offense looks completely different. And maybe that's just to be expected. Maybe, they're down like 50 passes per game. They're a bottom 10 offense. They have been all season. It doesn't look the same. And maybe that's by design. Maybe that's the inevitable result of the trades that they made and the changes that they made. But to me, when you trade for Mike Conley, and they traded a fair amount for him, and when you give Bojan Bogdanovic, a very good player, a 4-year big contract that takes him into his early to mid-30s almost, you are all in. And you're not a cute team anymore. It's like, oh, we won 50 games. This is fun. Like, you're trying to win the championship. That's the goal. And they've seen the Lakers zoom past everybody. The Clippers are, when they have Kawhi and PG both playing, are really, really good. Denver's good. Houston, this is a team that doesn't have a lot of time to waste. I'm surprised they haven't been out there more.
Yeah, and I think Utah comes from that San Antonio school around the trade deadline. Oklahoma City's this way with Sam Presti, Dennis Lindsey, Justin Zanuck, who's learned under them. They don't make a lot of calls. They're out there waiting for teams to call them. They're not out there putting their guys out in trade conversations. The reason I especially give this Utah group the benefit of the doubt, I think they have such great leadership there. I think they have the guys to fight through it, stay together. Rudy Gobert is still one of the dominant forces in this league.
Absolutely.
And Donovan Mitchell, remember last summer he had, he was in a boot for a lot of it. He didn't get to work last summer the way he did this past summer. And you've seen him that time with USA Basketball, and you've seen that explosion and the athleticism and the skill that has people so excited about his future. I still think the Jazz are going to be right there in the playoffs as a team, that's going to be, they're not better than the 2 LA teams, but I think everybody else in the West is going to have a hard time beating them.
I'd still be making some calls if I were them.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For highlights and analysis, check out the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, check out ESPN Plus.